Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Newcastle kind of area once again, the northeast of England, and this is a brewery who I've done a couple of reviews for before and had some really positive experiences. So this is going to be my fourth review involving the Wylam Brewery, and today we have a can of their Us and Them. So this one is a double IPA with Citron Mosaic and it comes in at 8.2%. Just checking on the camera control that you're actually seeing that there. This is actually the first beer that I've had in a can from Wylam, so it should be interesting. This one I'm interested to see how it turns out. It's meant to be quite a good beer, this one. It was rated well into the 90s when I checked it out on Rate Beer earlier on, so it's, as I say, I've had positive experiences with these guys before. It's the Jakehead and the Double Jakehead that tend to be their signature IPAs, so looking forward to trying something a little bit different, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Wylam Brewery before. No doubt I will do some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's constantly being added to. And as always, please get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the Wylam Brewery then. So the Wylam Brewery was founded by John Boyle and Robin Layton in the small village of Wylam to the north of Newcastle back in the year 2000. So both men apparently had taken early retirement, but John had been a computer engineer and he met Rob, who was a former sea captain but also an avid home brewer as well. So John fixed Rob's PC, which took a long time, and apparently Robin and John agreed a payment of 5 gallons of the Vice beer that they'd been drinking together while the repair was going on. But Robin was really interested in barley wine stouts and sours, which were really just not very popular at the time, and both he and John wanted to actually see these beers reintroduced to their local pubs. So they produced their first beer together, which was called the Landlord's Choice, back in August 2000, and the beer became really popular through word of mouth. And they actually moved premises after their first little brewery to Headon on Wall in 2006, and in 2016 they moved once again to a new site at the Palace of Arts in Exhibition Park in 2016, and this one has a 30-barrel brew house and a brewery tap and restaurant as well, so it's definitely somewhere that I need to go and check out. But these guys are probably one of the best known breweries in the northeast of England at the moment. They do some really nice beers. You'll have seen me review the Jakehead before. I've reviewed the Hexen as well, and I also reviewed a collaboration that they did with Cloudwater as well. The name of that one, I think it's called When Two Worlds Collide or something like that. That was a really nice beer as well. But this one is my fourth review from these guys. All the ones I've tried so far have been pretty good, but I will try and review some more of their core range over the next little while for you, because I've not even tried them. I'm just basically buying beers and trying them when I can. But it should be a really interesting one, this, because the Jakehead and the Double Jakehead are pretty nice beers, I have to say, so looking forward to this. But anyway, that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. Check out the brewery website in the description below if you want to learn a little bit more. This is the very first time I've seen them canning a beer as well, which should be quite an interesting turn of events. So as I say, this one is an 8.2% double IPA. The hops in this one are Citron Mosaic. The other ingredients they have there, they've got oats, rye and wheat, which I'm guessing will be in the malt base, and it does say barley as well, so some of the malts will be barley based malts, but 8.2% double IPA. Nicely presented in the can, this one. I do like the artwork on this. So is that like Illuminati? Oh no, it's skulls and things that are on it. It's almost like tribal African artwork or something like that, but really nicely presented beer, this one. And it is cool to see more and more breweries canning their beers, because the cans of course are a little bit better for the environment than the bottles and stuff are. But again, this is one of these 440ml cans. This is something that's been stolen from America. I complain about it all the time. I wish they would just put them in 500ml cans, half-litre cans, and stick with the metric system rather than following the American pints. But yeah, so it should be a really nice beer. Let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. And I'll tell you right away, as soon as I've opened this beer up, I can smell some of the citra coming out of it. The mangoes and some of the tangerines from the Mosaic as well just jumped straight out at me. It smells really quite fresh, this one, actually. So yeah, as you can see then, and as you would expect from the IPA, the double IPA style of course, this one's poured a really nice, bright, hazy, kind of orangey gold colour. There's a solid 3/4 finger of a frothy white head on this one, some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones going up towards the bottom of that head there, but it looks really nice, this one. So yeah, should be a really interesting beer. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see it is actually quite a hazy one. This, I'm not sure if it's meant to be a New England double IPA or exactly what it's meant to be, but we'll have a taste of it and see what we find out. It does have oats in it, so that might give a little bit of a clue, but let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Oh, yeah. So as you'd expect, it's got a nice sort of fruity note to it. You know, there's mangoes in there, there's quite a bit of tangerine. It's the tangerine that's kind of jumping out at me with this one. So to me it leans a little bit more towards the Mosaic than the Citra. The mangoes of course come from the Citra, but there's a wee bit of like a pineapple and kind of lychee note in there as well, and these are the more kind of subtle things that you can pick up from both of these hops. Pineapple comes more from the Mosaic, and the sort of lychee kind of thing comes from the Citra. You can also get a little bit of gooseberry in this, which again is something that comes from the Citra. But it smells like a really nice beer. It smells pretty much as you would expect a New England IPA to. It's not got too much in the way of kind of floral aromaticity from it. It does smell a little bit more grassy, this one, when it comes to the more kind of floral parts of the hops, I guess you would say. So it's got the nice juicy fruity notes up front, and then it's got just this lighter kind of grassy note as well. There's a little bit of a nice oaty and kind of white bready quality to this one. The oats almost give the beer just a little bit of a kind of sweet creaminess, and there's a wee bit of a kind of biscuity sweetness to this one as well. But as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. That's always half the experience when it comes to craft beer for me. You always just want to take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But yeah, it smells really nice, so I want to get stuck into this now. So this one is called the Us and Them, a double IPA, 8.2% from the Wylam Brewery, just near Newcastle in the northeast of England. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål. I have to say that's quite nice. You know, just straight up, they've done a good job with that beer. I'll tell you that right away. As I always say though, sugar it around your palate a little bit and just let your whole mouth adjust before you start kind of analysing it too much. But yeah, they've done a nice job of that. The malt base, it comes in and it's actually got quite a bit of a bitter kick to it initially, but it really mellows out very, very nicely, this beer. It's just, you know, you wouldn't expect, to be honest, if you try Jakehead, oh, and Jakehead, to be honest, I can't remember how many years old Jakehead is now. It's maybe about 3 or 4 years ago that I tried Jakehead for the first time and I thought that's a really damn good IPA. It is cool to see that, you know, a lot of breweries will start with these kind of West Coast IPAs, and some of them do find it a little bit difficult to kind of evolve and take in the new styles and stuff. You can see right away with Wylam, that's not the case. They are sort of moving with the times and having a go at these newer styles. It definitely, for me, this one, it fits into the New England IPA category, this one. You can tell right away from the taste. It's just got that nice oaty quality in the malt base, which is really nice. So yeah, we'll start with the malt base then. You can feel that sort of wheaty, bready character that goes right across the middle of your palate. As the beer kind of mellows out a little bit, you start to get some rye kind of grainy notes as well, but that oaty, the oaty quality to this one really pushes its way through a little bit later on, and you do get a little bit of an almost kind of biscuity feel coming out of this one. You do get a little bit of an almost, not quite caramel, but definitely there's a little bit of a kind of almost digestive biscuity sweetness pushing its way out of this beer as it goes on. The malt base is really quite well done in this. It does feel a little bit lighter and less creamy than some of the New England IPAs that I've come across before, but in terms of how it's made up, the taste and the flavour you get from it is really quite nice, and it does leave the hops a little bit more room to kind of explode on your palate and kind of push their way out, if you like. But the malt base and the way that this beer mellows out is something, I have to admit, that's something I really quite like about this beer. But yeah, with this one, the hops, you know, there's a little touch of earthiness in the back corners of the palate. It's mainly the Mosaic out of these two that will give you that. But as you come further forward along the sides of the palate, you can feel a little bit of that nice kind of floral aromatic character there. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, you've got a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy note in there, which is nice. And then just behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's when you get that little oily bubble where the nice kind of juicy, fruity flavours start to come out of the beer. You can tell that this beer is quite fresh. When I went into the shop at Crossgates to get this one, they only had 2 cans of it left, so I thought, oh, maybe it's been sitting for a little while, but you can tell it is still pretty fresh. But with this one, you've got a nice little bit of a there is a little bit of a darker grapefruit just kind of underpinning this beer, but as it mellows out, you start to get the mangoes from the Citra. The tangerines become a little bit more prominent as well. The tangerine for me is actually sitting there quite a bit on this one with the grapefruit. It's interesting because sometimes you get grapefruit with Citra, but sometimes you don't, and usually it depends on the malts and the yeasts and things like that. The whole beer chemistry thing is actually quite complex when it comes to what flavours you get out of the beer, but as you go further on into this beer, for me, there's a bit of pineapple there, there's a little bit of a sort of lychee and gooseberry note that comes on the end, but there's a little bit of an almost limey character to this one as well, which is quite interesting. But the way that the fruits come out in this beer is really nice, particularly when you've got the kind of smooth malty characteristics just pushing their way out of the beer a little bit later on. But overall, it's a really nice beer and they've done a good job with it, so thumbs up to Wylam for this one. I can see why this beer was quite highly rated. I think it had like a 94 or something like that on Rate Beer, and it had at least 4 stars when I had a quick look at it on Untappd as well. So it's done pretty well, and trust me on that, it's not without reason that this beer's done well. I have to say they have done a good job with this one. So I look forward to them experimenting a little bit more with the New England IPAs, because the first one that I've tried, this guy, I have to say they've done a good job of that. But when it's a brewery like Wylam that are involved in it, you can't really say anything about that. You can't expect anything less than a good beer from these guys, in my experience at least. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one then, mid-bodied for me, carbonation smooth. It's got a good mixture between a sort of smooth and slightly creamy mouthfeel. It also has a little bit of the oiliness that you expect from the IPA, from the hops and things like that. Malt base is well balanced, it's quite smooth like I say, but you do get a little element of sweetness from it later on. There's a nice little bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer, particularly in the start, but it mellows out a little bit more. It's not going to blow your head off in terms of IBUs, this beer, I have to say. But it's got a nice little bit of juicy, fruity character as well. There's a little bit of darkness from the grapefruit, which isn't what I was expecting when you consider the 2 hops involved here. But overall, everything goes together quite nicely in this beer. And as I say, it is cool to see a brewery like Wylam, who started a while ago, they are evolving to meet these kind of New England style IPAs and doing them well. So that's what you always want to see. You do want to see breweries that have been around for a little while moving with the times, and they are certainly doing a very good job of this. So a big thumbs up to Wylam for this beer. I'll certainly drink it again if I get the chance, and I do look forward to them experimenting a little bit more with IPAs in general and the New England IPA. So I'd love to see what they would do actually with a black IPA, because as I say, the Jakehead's a really good beer. This is a really good kind of New England style IPA. I don't think I've ever had a black IPA from them yet, so it'd be cool to see how they would do with an Imperial Black Ale or a double black IPA or something like that. So that's something to look for in the future, but for now this has been a really good beer and I'm glad that I got to review it. So this was the Us and Them from Wylam Brewery in Newcastle in England, a really just lovely New England IPA. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know your favourite beers from Wylam Brewery as well. Let me know any other kind of breweries from the northeast of England that you'd like me to check out as well. It's always great to hear from you guys, like I was saying. But once again, thank you for watching the Us and Them lovely double IPA from Wylam Brewery in Newcastle, and make sure you check it out if you get the chance. Thanks again for watching, and slange it just now. Cheers.